How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and welcome back to our playthrough of the economic campaign for Stronghold 3. Today we will be completing chapter number 3, Storms.
The workers that we've hired for the rebuilding project will be billeted in a small hamlet at the foot of the cliffs nearby. Space is tight, with barely enough housing for all the workers. Getting a stable supply of food into the workers will be a challenge.
The small hamlet at the foot of the Abbey Cliffs is an awkward space. Land is tight enough even for the workers' housing. Getting the food in this limited space will, I fear, give you some trouble.
Okay, so to win, we're going to need to reach a population of 100, a housing capacity of 100, and then we'll need to store 300 apples and 300 cheese. We're going to be playing it on the hard difficulty, which of course increases the apples and cheese. Let's see, it's 180 for easy difficulty, 300 for hard. But ultimately, you'll see this doesn't really change the challenge of it that much, or that significantly.
Place your stockpile, my lord.
Okay, so here you can see it's a pretty dreary start. It's raining all the time. We're going to get started. I'm going to put my stockpile up here near the stone.
Site your granary.
The granary is going to be sited down here, where we have a little bit more spare room to work in. So maybe about like that.
This hamlet is a disgrace, my lord. Clearly laid out by some misguided peasant. Building the required housing here will be hard enough. Goodness knows how her ladyship expects us to create all that food as well.
So I'm going to start with an orchard and the dairy farm. That should give us enough food for the initial peasants that we have. And then I'm also going to put down 2 woodcutters camps, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Make sure that things move along fairly quickly. Down to 5 wood, and there's really not a whole lot else we can do at the moment. I suppose we could turn rations down a little bit, because otherwise we would be losing a lot more food. Also turn taxes off, give us a little bit more leeway here. Okay, let's turn the food back up. There we go. Is that everything? Yeah, I think that's good. So the reason that I want to do that is because the farmers have a long way to walk to get down to the dairy farm and the apple orchard. And by turning those down a little bit, we'll buy ourselves a little bit more food to make sure that we don't run out. So now we have more wood coming into the stockpile, so we can safely continue to expand our food production over here. And I would like to build a pig farm, because pig farms are something that we can rely on even when the other types of food are needed to be stockpiled. And it looks like we can also fit another apple orchard right about there. Not sure here. We have 2 peasants left, so I can continue expanding quite safely at this point. I want to make the most of the space I have here, obviously. So as you might have sort of deduced, the greatest challenge of this mission comes from the unique layout of the terrain.
This weather is foul, sire, and the peasants moaning about it really doesn't help.
There's a lot of challenging terrain here, very limited space to build in, and that's ultimately where the challenge of this mission comes from. So now that we have a decent number of dairy farms and pig farms and apple farms up, I'm going to be looking into building more housing here. One thing that you should note when it comes to building housing near the keep is you should try to turn the houses on edge like this, so that way they take up less space. I know you can position them like this, but ultimately this position being parallel sort of to the keep, it doesn't really give you any additional population for doing that compared to putting it on edge or adjacent to. So you should try to go for that. Okay, it looks like our food production is very nice. I'm going to add a second house there. And then we're going to start with a couple more woodcutters here, because I want to try to get this place cleared out. I'm pretty sure I can add another one right here. There we go. We got some stone as well, so I'll probably be putting up a few quarries. We can sell that for the gold and then maybe build a church with that. As soon as we get enough wood in, there we go. Let's see here. We've got 4 population left. Probably should continue expanding food production at this point. I do want to fully build out the food production before we scale up the rest of our economy. That way we know we're not going to run out of food anytime soon. I'm just curious, what do we have the least of? Okay, we have...
Cows are struck down by strangers.
All the cows took a beating. Okay, we need a lot more dairy farms and a lot more pig farms at this point. The pig farms are the most expensive, and I'm not necessarily sure they're any more productive. So I'm probably going to want to build those as close to the granary as possible. The dairy farms, on the other hand, can be spammed pretty much with reckless abandon. There's no real reason we need to be conservative in our placement of dairy farms. They're very cheap and very small, so they fit into all the perfect corners. It's interesting in a way how the dairy farm has evolved over time, because if you go back to the original
This rain
Stronghold,
never end, my lord. My hose are soaked through and my tunic is running.
if you go back to the original Stronghold, dairy farms were one of the largest farms. I mean, I'd say they're on par with what is that? The apple orchard back then. So it looks like in this case, okay, we can put a house right there. And we have a fair bit of gold here. This stone quarry needs some tethers to bring the stone back home. Let's get another quarry there and a quarry here. We can't put one there, which is fine, because we wouldn't want to block that house area anyway. So let's see here, another 10 population like that. And then we'll get a few more ox tethers going over here to make sure we have enough to transport the stone to the stockpile. Okay, I'm gonna have to increase tax rations here, and I should say food rations, and turn off taxes to compensate for that event. We don't have enough cheese, once again, as I pointed out before. Gathering the required cheese appears to be the resource most in demand here, so let's get some more dairy farms up and going. There's really no point in not just... They're not leaving the castle, come on. I'm just gonna spam all these farms. We need, buildings for our peasants to occupy anyway if we're gonna go all the way to 100. So it's really not any issue if I spam those down. I was hoping some of these trees would be cleared out here to make room for more houses. But at the moment that doesn't really seem to be happening. Okay. Our population is nice again, so I'm turning down food rations and turning up taxes. We're almost halfway there already. Not too bad. One of the other things that we can do here, obviously... What? I think this quarry is blocked? No, we just don't have enough population. Okay. So you got all the food that we require. I just need to figure out a place to put this housing project here. I suppose I'm going to do it a little bit like that. It makes the optimal use of all this land here, as opposed to placing it adjacent like I was doing with the other ones. So now all those quarries are running. I want to start producing some candles. This not only gives us a source of additional popularity, but we can also use it to employ more peasants. Forthcoming marriage, huh? One of the reasons that we want to employ as many peasants as possible is because there is a limited number that can physically occupy the space here around the campfire. And look, there's the marriage taking place. For those interested, it appears to be comprised mostly of these elderly women and elderly mothers and elderly men who walk around the place. So they don't actually use your peasants, the ones that are currently working, to attend these events. This tree, unfortunately, has not been removed yet. So I guess we're going to have to put the house in here or something like this. No. We can't put it anywhere because of those two trees. I should have put the woodcutters a little bit closer, I think. Never you mind. We'll just... we can put a house right there instead. It's still 8 population at housing. So, is that a problem? Okay, it looks like this area here is finally cleared out of trees. So we can put another couple of houses there.
Place that there, my lord.
Oh, really? Why not? 10 population? That gets us up to 88. And I think we can put one here like this? No. Still waiting on that tree to be removed. And the reason we want to do that is obviously because housing in Stronghold 2 works in... Stronghold 3, I should say, works in the unique way that we are the amount of housing these buildings provide decreases as you move further away from the keep. So as you can see, just even moving back to here, we only have 1 population. So we definitely want to keep it as close to the keep as possible. Okay, We have enough gold. Let's build that church. A lot more popularity now. And how many peasants do we have around the campfire? Not too many. But I'm going to build a few more chandler's workshops to make sure as many of them are employed as possible. And then let's see here if we can get a couple more houses in here. That one's worth 8. See, the woodcutters are currently chopping down that tree that I was interested in, but at this point it probably doesn't matter much. 6 population, like right here, would be just fine.
That's all the houses built, sire. Not exactly a Rome, though, is it?
And then we're just basically waiting for the population to grow to there. So the question is, will we have enough space around the campfire? Perhaps not, and perhaps that means that I should go ahead and build a few more chandler's workshops here to make sure that we can continue to grow, because we seem to be maxed out at 93 of 100. So we need to provide some more jobs, and we're just going to make those in the form of chandler's workshops here, even though it is a little bit spammy.
Can't place that there, my lord.
There's 98, 99, 100. We should be able to go to 100 now.
The sun, my liege.
There we go.
Finally, the sun. What a lovely day it is today, sire. We are victorious, sire.
And there is victory. So we were allowed basically 100,000 for time. I took 68,000. Not the best, obviously, and leaves us with 31,000. So we made 1,200 gold from taxes. I could have turned the taxes down, obviously, because all we needed gold for was to either counter negative popularity or to build the church, which only costs 500 gold. Made 248 candles. Obviously, there was no military action in this campaign whatsoever, not even a wolf to kill. So there you go, economic mission number 3 completed. Thank you very much for watching as always, and hope to see you next time.